What's up, guys? This is an unscripted walking, talking video with no visual effects. So if you like that kind of stuff, click out. But if you want to know what's the best chiller for a DIY cold plunge, I'm pretty sure I have used, experimented with, and had the opportunity to review more chillers than 99% of the cold plunge companies that are actively selling cold plunges today. And I'm not exaggerating. I think I've used and reviewed over close to 50 different chillers. So I want to just talk about what I would consider to be maybe the best cold plunge chiller if you're building a DIY. And then I want to talk about some of the company's chillers and some of the stuff that I've talked about in the past on some videos to help you make an educated decision to figure out which chiller you should get. Now, if you're watching this video and you really don't even know what the heck a chiller is what actually cools the water. It's also called a water cooler, continuous water cooler. And that's what's used in a cold plunge or an aquarium or hydroponics to keep the water a specific temperature. Let's assume I live in Florida, which I do, and it's 85 degrees outside. I have a cold plunge outside and I put water in that cold plunge and I start putting ice in that cold plunge. The ice, because it's cold, it's frozen, will cool my water down to a specific temperature. But very quickly, the ambient temperature is going to melt the ice and my water is going to raise in temperature as well. By using a pump and a chiller, the pump is what moves the water through the chiller. You're going to move the water through the chiller, and the chiller is going to basically act like an air conditioner, but for water, and chill your water. That's theoretically and basically in a nutshell what a chiller is going to do. So now, I want to flash back to 2022, 2023, can't remember exactly. About 2 years ago, I built a DIY cold plunge using that same process of how I built aquariums in the past, how I kept water a specific temperature in the past. I was like, I'm just gonna build an aquarium and not put fish in it. I'm just gonna put myself in it. And that's what I did. And when I did my research at the time, I found that the active Aqua chiller, half horsepower, was basically the easiest one to buy. I didn't buy it for any reason. I didn't do any research. There wasn't a lot of options. I did research, but there wasn't a lot of options. So it wasn't like I had a lot to choose from like we do today. And I purchased that chiller. I still have that chiller. That chiller still works today, about 2 years later. And that thing has been used, abused, moved, used with insulated options, used with non-insulated options. The half horsepower active Aqua chiller, very impressed. It was a beast. And I want to kind of share something really interesting. At that time, I wasn't planning on being a YouTuber, content creator in the health and wellness space. So I just made a video doing a DIY cold plunge. I shared what I was using. And shortly after I posted that video, I had a lot of people reaching out and saying, hey, where did you get the chiller? Hey, where did you get the pump? Hey, blah, blah, blah. And I had somebody, he's a friend of mine now, his name's Shervin Shares on Instagram and YouTube. He reached out and he's like, bro, can you do us all a favor and can you become an Amazon affiliate and can you please like create a little list? And I'm like, bro, I don't know what the heck that means because I wasn't doing this stuff. I didn't really know how it meant or what it meant and how to do it. So he explained it to me. He kind of helped guide me down that path. And became an Amazon affiliate, put together these kits, thought maybe, a few people would get these kits and it would be helpful for them. Turns out a lot of people like building DIY cold plunges, and most months on my Amazon affiliate account, most months are over $100,000 in sales, and pretty much the only thing I have on there are these DIY cold plunge kits. And all of them are active Aqua chillers. The reason I'm telling you that is not to boast on sales or anything like that. It's to tell you that if you're looking to build a DIY cold plunge, most people are choosing the active Aqua chiller. And I get a lot of feedback from people who purchase other options, try to go cheaper routes. I've reviewed most of the cold plunges, I've reviewed most of the cold plunge chillers and cold plunges. And I've tried a lot of the cheaper options. And guess what, guys? It's not worth it. The cheaper options aren't the better options. It's better to spend just a tiny bit more and get the active Aqua chiller. And I'm not affiliated with them. I do have Amazon links, but don't even use them. I don't care. I'm just telling you my experience, and I can say, I don't know how many, I wish I could figure it out. Thousands of people have gotten the active Aqua chiller, built a DIY cold plunge, and I get almost no negative feedback from people who've gone that route. It's almost always extremely positive, or there's some user error because not everybody's built aquariums in the past or hydroponics or anything like that. So some people reach out and they're like, hey, where does this go? How do I do it? But it's been really cool to help so many people build their own DIY cold plunges and use that chiller. Now, that's the active Aqua chiller. I would say at this point in the video, if you're thinking about doing a DIY, there you go. That's what you use. Active Aqua chiller has been a bulletproof chiller. I've used many of them. A lot of the cold plunge companies that I work with today use that chiller because it's so reliable. And I know online it says can't be used outside. 100% of my Active Aqua chillers are outside here in Florida, have been through hurricanes, have been through every thunderstorm, are not covered, and work. However, disclaimer, I'm not a doctor or medical scientist or anything cool like that, so this is not advice or financial advice. You do what's best for you. That's just what I do, and probably thousands of other people. So that's the Active Aqua chiller. Phenomenal chiller. Very good, affordable chiller. I've been really, really impressed with it, and so has most everybody else. Now let's talk about some of the other options. So there is the Eco Plus chiller, and it's a different looking chiller. The Active Aqua is also pretty looking. It's a little black box, small, doesn't take up a huge footprint. Cool. Eco Plus, I did a review on this in the past, and that's one of my most viewed videos on YouTube. Great chiller too, kind of unnecessary. If you're using a very low insulated option with no lid, maybe a galvanized trough, or you're using a Rubbermaid tub and you don't plan on using a lid or something like that, that might be the way to go, because you can get a bigger tube and a bigger pump, and the more water flowing through that chiller, the faster it's going to cool your water down and the easier it's going to cool your water down. I found that that is a little overkill for most setups. There are some options. There are some cold plunge companies using that as their chiller. It's awesome. It's definitely a great chiller. Once again, have had no issues with that chiller. I actually have that chiller over here on one of my Polar Monkey setups, and it's a phenomenal overbuilt chiller for a cold plunge setup. And I would say it's a little more expensive. They have bigger options. If you're gonna try to chill a hot tub or something, like if you have an in-ground pool or a hot tub and you're trying to turn that into a cold plunge, I've seen people use the bigger Eco Plus chillers for that. There's also better options, but that's a very small amount of people. So I would say the Eco Plus is a great option for for tubs that have no insulation, and for, you know, DIYs where you just want something that's going to chill your water down no matter what the temperature is outside, because it is a little bit more robust than the Active Aqua, but it's another great option. I took those kits off of my Amazon page because not a lot of people were really using them. You can find them, whatever, but once again, like, I just want to help you make the best decision. I don't care if you use my links. I'm not selling kits. They're not my kits to sell. They're products that are on Amazon. I just curated a list, so it just makes it helpful. So anyway, those are the two top recommendations for DIYs. There's other options. I can't recommend them. I actually had one that I bought and was experimenting with. I was going to make a video on it, but it's a piece of junk too. So it's actually in a couple of my links, and I need to remove it. Basically, Active Aqua and Eco Plus are the only ones I can recommend and say you're going to have a good experience with for the DIY route. Now let's talk about some of the chillers that have been horrible. There's a few companies that have came around, and I don't like saying names because I know with every company there's like money invested and there's people behind it, and they usually are good people with good intentions. But there's, you know, like Edge Theory Labs, Ice-Up Industries, they're no longer in business, so I can talk about it a little bit because I've actually spent money and invested time and energy into those companies, not as an investor, but as somebody who's invested time into reviewing those products, buying those products, using those products. And I've found, and I'm sure some other people have found, there's a lot of cold plunge companies that jumped on the trend of wellness and cold plunging, found manufacturers overseas, had great conversations with them. This is how it works. Like, they had great conversations with them, but they're not there. They're not building it. They're not visually seeing how things are being built, visually seeing how things are being taken care of. And they say, okay, cool, here's X amount of dollars. We want to order X amount of cold plunges and chillers. They brand them, they ship them, and then they sell them. That's kind of how that process works. And I'm not specifically talking about Edge Theory Labs and Ice-Up Industries. I use those names because those are two companies I have worked with that are no longer in business. And I'm just throwing assumptions out there. This isn't exactly how they all work, but this is how some of it kind of goes. Now they order this massive quantity of products. They have no idea really how the manufacturing process is going. They're not in the manufacturing process, and they start selling them. When you start selling them to the general public gets these chillers, they just plug them in, fill them up with water, turn them on. And what happens typically with anything we buy that has a motor and is pumping water, there's a little problem. So these little problems happen. Long story short, people realize that chillers aren't easy to ship. It's not like, you know, a razor, or, you know, I'm using a razor blade or something like that, like for shaving, where, oh, I had an issue with this, you ship it back, you put it in an envelope. They're heavy, they cost money to ship. It's money going out, money coming in, expensive, time, frustrated customers, people who can't use their cold plunges. I was one of them. And we realized that there are some really poor manufacturing practices happening overseas when it comes to a lot of the chillers and some of the pumps and components. So a lot of the companies that you may have seen 2 years ago in the cold plunging space are no longer around. There's a few that are, and they're awesome, and they're worked through a lot of the same problems, but there's still gonna be problems. That's the thing. When you build an all-in-one chiller, you're gonna have some problems. So I wanted to just talk about like the cheaper entry-level cold plunge companies. I get a lot of people asking me to review specific companies, and I generally, it's not that I don't want to, it's that I know they won't be around in a year or two. I like to have conversations with the founders of these companies so that I can see their vision, see where they're getting their products from, and in most cases, I like to go and visit the factory and see how these things are being built. So that leads me to the companies that are doing good work but are still hitting some snags. And that leads me to, I'm just gonna go ahead and say it, and I hope I don't, make anyone mad, but this video is just to help you make good decisions. So I do a lot of reviews for Plunge products. I've worked with Plunge for almost 2 years, and they keep on asking me to review their products because they like the way I review their products. And I try to be as authentic as possible in sharing how you set it up, how it operates, how it works. And even when there's some issues, I like to get ahead of it. When Plunge first launched their newest chillers, there was some leaking issues, and it came from shipping. I'm not trying to tell you anything that you really need. Like, no one really cares anymore because the problems have been fixed. But there are some Reddit posts and stuff where people are bashing Plunge, Ice Barrel, a few other companies that are really doing good work and have good people behind them. They have their hand in the manufacturing processes. They are bringing as much to America as possible. There are some parts and components we have to get from overseas. I say they have to get from overseas. So it just is what it is. But from what I know, they're doing good work and they're building good products. But there are gonna be some issues, and there are gonna be some upset customers that are gonna post bad reviews, and it is what it is. I'm just letting you know, I've worked with Ice Barrel and Plunge both for a long time. Both are doing great work. Both are building good products, but both still have room to grow. There's other companies too that are building their own little in-house chillers, and they're all-in-one chillers, and they do look a lot like the old school Edge Theory Labs and even Ice Up Industries chillers, but I haven't had issues with. I've actually told the founders of these companies, like, hey, I don't want to review this product until I have the opportunity to try to kill it. And they're like, try to kill it. We want you to, like, we legit want you to test this thing how you test everything and try to kill her chiller. So, I mean, I don't want to name all the companies. I actually probably shouldn't even be naming the companies, but I'll just tell you, like, Polar Monkeys is building their own chiller. Coldture is building their own chiller. Sun Home Saunas, which also has incredible cold plunges, they're building their own chiller. And there's a few others, and I'm working with a few other companies that just trying to bring the best options out there because there's so much fluff. And I truly like helping you make the best decision. So I can say that if you go down in the description of my video and you see a link, there's a really good chance that I personally put my trust in that company. It's me. I don't own these companies. I'm not invested in these companies. It's me. So if I refer a company or if I refer a product to you and you get it and you have a horrible experience with it, you might be upset with that product, and obviously you got to make your own decisions and things are going to happen, but it's ultimately my reputation. So when I recommend a different health product or modality, it's because I've tested it. It's because I believe in the founder and the vision of the company, and I believe they're also going to make things right. So if something goes haywire, I believe that company will stand behind their product and stand behind me. So I'm asking you that if you've watched this video to this point and you personally have had a problem with a product or service or whatever, that you learned about it from me, please let me know. Reach out to me on Instagram. I have a personal connection now with most of the companies, and they want to make it right. They want to fix the problem if there is a problem. But the point of this video is to just kind of share that if you're going to build a DIY Active Aqua, Eco Plus, don't waste your money on the other ones. There's a ton of other companies, so many I didn't name, and I wanted to talk about the cold plunges that I truly don't recommend. But I'm just going to tell you this: if I didn't name it, Doesn't mean I haven't reviewed it. Doesn't mean I haven't had it at my house and actually tested it. Doesn't mean I haven't been in it. It means there's a reason I haven't named it. And there's a huge brand that you probably are very familiar with that I haven't talked about on this video. I'm not gonna say any names, but I don't recommend the chiller. I don't. And if you want to know exactly what it is, reach out to me on Instagram and I'll tell you, but I'm not going to name bash anybody, because I want you to make the best decision for yourself. And I'm not here to tell you what you should or you shouldn't buy. I'm here to give you the information so you can make the best decision for yourself. On that note, I want to talk about the Ice Barrel chiller, because Ice Barrel has a great chiller. It's built for their system. It's really cool. The one thing that I'm not a massive fan of is you have to have it connected to Wi-Fi for it to work. Maybe that changes in a little bit. Maybe they make that change. But I get it, because the whole process is to be more efficient and to only have the water chilled when you need it. And it's really cool thought process behind it. But if you're somebody who cold plunges sporadically at random times, it may not be the best chiller for you. Plunge has it all connected to an app, but you can bypass that app. You can use their chiller without having to have it connected to the internet. Having it connected to the internet is a better experience for the user. They can also diagnose problems and send you notifications if your filters are clogged up and your flow rate's kind of slowing down. And a few of the other companies too. I think Sunhome does the same thing. Coldture does the same thing. Polar Monkeys might do the same thing. Those are the main ones that I've played with that have app access. But the Ice Barrel chiller absolutely has to have a Wi-Fi connection. So I wanted to put it down there by my dock when I first got it. And I realized that I couldn't even get the thing to turn on. And it was a little frustrating, but if you're gonna have it close to your house where you have Wi-Fi, it's a good chiller. And it works really, really well with the Ice Barrel ecosystem. Once again, not here to tell you what you should or shouldn't buy, just here to tell you the facts of what I've experienced, and hopefully that helps you make a good decision. All right, where do we go from here? Yes, I walked a mile. I walked a whole mile while I've been videoing this. That's awesome. All right, so the last thing I want to say is the chiller is just one part of it. Pump is a whole nother part of it. This was kind of a chiller overhaul. A lot of people have asked me. I've experimented with a ton of different chillers, and hopefully that advice helps you a little bit. This isn't a sponsored video by anybody. This is just me walking a mile in my backyard telling you what I know about the chillers that I've experimented with. And I do want to just kind of like end it by saying this. I appreciate all the support. There's some people who've been following me and subscribed to this channel from when I made automotive related videos and chicken coop building videos and beehive building videos and crypto mining videos and just all the random stuff that I've done. And I appreciate the support. It's crazy to see, like, on YouTube, 52,000 plus subscribers, and on Instagram, I'm almost to 100,000 followers on Instagram, which is so wild, man. And I appreciate the support. I appreciate the support from you as the viewers. I appreciate the support from the brands and the trust they have in me to showcase the products in a way where you can make the best decision. One thing I do pride myself on that I just have to say is I have no exclusivity, obviously, with any brand. I will never sign an exclusivity with any brand, because I know, as somebody who watches reviews, that when you watch something where the creator is obviously exclusive, they can't really review the product. They're more selling the product. And if there's some feedback you have for me on my reviews, I try to go over, when I do product reviews, I try to go over the product. I like to go over the setup, what you can expect if you purchase the product, how it's designed to work, and then I like to test it out. But I've watched some reviews where they start off really, really negative, and I don't know, like, personally, I'm actually being really, like, transparent with you, because I need some feedback from you. I like the way I review products, because I answer a lot of the questions that I personally have about that product. I do the research, I make the calls, and I find out, and then I try to answer the questions for the viewer as if you were me, or as if you were my best friend and you were asking me for my real advice. But some people are like, dude, you need to be more negative in your reviews to get more views. And I'm like, I don't want more views. I want to help the people who are interested in this product understand the product, understand how it works, and understand what they can expect if they do purchase the product. So just let me know what you think about my style. If there's anything I need to change, I can't make everybody happy, but I'd love some feedback from you. So feel free to unload on me in the comments below. Let me know what you need to see more of. If there's a product you do think deserves a review, let me know. I get a lot of emails and messages from companies, and I'm just one dude with an Osmo Pocket 3 filming these reviews by himself. So I don't have all the time in the world, but if it's a product that enough people want to see, I'll put some focus on it. And other than that, I appreciate you guys for watching this crazy long video of me walking in my yard talking about chillers. I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a great day, my friends. God bless.